Thank you all for inviting me to speak at the meeting. I apologize for two things. One, not being able to be in person in Chile, and also for the fact that when I was in high school and college, my mother insisted I take Latin and French, and I never studied Spanish. So this will be in English. So I apologize. I'm going to talk this morning about really.
We're going to introduce you first, and then we're going to start with the presentation.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I was going.
Don't worry.
¿Ya? Bueno, buenos días a todos. Es un placer tener la posibilidad y la distinción de presentar a nuestro siguiente ponente. Good morning, Dr. William. It's a pleasure. And I'm going to introduce you. Dr. Pinsky es el actual presidente y director ejecutivo de la Comisión Educativa para Extranjeros Graduados en Medicina, lo que consideramos ecfmg, que ustedes conocen. Además, es presidente de la Junta Directiva de la Fundación para el Avance de la Investigación y Educación Médica Internacional. Fundación sin fines de lucro, tiene un título de profesor honorario de la Universidad de Queensland y Australia. Ha sido miembro de las juntas directivas del Consejo de Acreditación para la Educación Médica de Posgrado y el Consejo de Acreditación para la Educación Médica Continua, así como la Alianza de Centros Médicos Académicos Independientes, donde también se ha desempeñado como presidente. It's a pleasure to listen to you, and go ahead. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry for having started too early. And once again, thank you very much for the invitation. And I look forward to the discussion this morning. I will concentrate really on two aspects. One is the process of what we do at ecfmg in terms of assuring public on as to the credentials of physicians who cross borders, primarily to the United States, but we also work with almost 24 other countries around the world. And I will also talk about, at least in the United States, the importance of international medical graduates in bringing diversity to the programs and to our communities. And so as I start today, I am going to talk about what many of you have seen, which is our new overarching identity for ecfmg and FAMR. So we launched at the end of 2021 a brand that we call InThealth. And InThealth is a bridging identity that unites ecfmg and FAMR because we have a common vision all that is based around the aspect of being a trusted global authority on healthcare education. We thought it was important to be able to represent the two organizations which work very closely. As you know, I am the CEO of ecfmg and the board chair of InThealth, and we have a common governance to the organization. But by having this brand, we can provide an integrated and meaningful structure that internally supports our growth and diversification. Operationally, it helps to maximize our efficiency and resources, while just as important, it really offers an opportunity to have an enhanced potential to support health professionals and health professions globally. So we have one vision with InThealth and complementary missions between ecfmg and FAMR. With ecfmg, we serve the public, and the public can be defined by communities in the United States, or frankly, in any other country around the world where we have the opportunity to work with professionals. We can assure the qualifications of healthcare professionals. That's the primary goal. We do something which I think is fairly unique and very thorough, and that's that we provide primary source verification of credentials of healthcare professionals. And we, as I mentioned before, we do this obviously in the United States, but then also do it for authorities in approximately 24 other countries around the world. And as important, we recognize the importance of individuals, the physicians, who choose to advance their healthcare education by traveling abroad. And we support those international medical graduates who wish to come to the United States for education. And as I will emphasize during the discussion, we support their efforts for education in the United States, not for immigration, permanent immigration. With FAMR, and I'm sure that most of you are familiar with FAMR, again, a complementary mission with the one vision. And FAMR works through partnership and collaboration and conducts data analyses and research to inform policies and program development in support of ecfmg missions, while also supporting the education of physicians and other healthcare professionals worldwide. And I would emphasize FAMR is very, very interested and very involved in interprofessional education, as well as developing resources on the healthcare workforce used by global communities. FAMR is an excellent source of information for this data. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about the ecfmg certification program. We have been doing this for over 70 years. The program, frankly, evaluates the readiness of international medical graduates to enter U.S. graduate medical education, meaning the readiness to enter into supervised medical care. It's important that while we do this, we assure the public that the international graduates are appropriate for this supervised care. And we offer a pathway that provides a way for qualified international medical graduates to learn and to train in the United States. And while I'm sure this was not thought of 70 years ago, what's very important today is that particularly foreign international medical graduates bring a very important diversity to the US programs and to the communities where they're involved in supervised healthcare. Current requirements for an individual to become ecfmg certified: number one, the medical school needs to meet our requirements, and that requirement basically is that they are licensed in the country where they offer the education and have a curriculum that is complete in terms of training and education for physicians. Graduates of the medical school where an applicant graduates from need to be eligible for medical licensure in that country. The individual then will need to sit and pass USMLE Steps 1 and Step 2 CK. Many of you are probably familiar with, in the past, we also had a clinical skills assessment. And then over 10 years ago, that was then joined with the USMLE to provide what we called Step 2 CS, or Step 2 clinical skills examination. During the pandemic, when the USMLE made the decision to cease offering the clinical skills exam, we felt it was very important to also continue, though, our clinical skills assessment. And we developed 6 pathways, 5 originally, a 6th one was added this past year, that would give us continuing assurance to the public of the readiness of the applicants. Additionally, we partner with Cambridge University in offering an English and communication examination. It's called the Occupational English Test, or OET, and individuals would need to pass that as well. And of course, the primary source verification means that we identify and verify the diploma and transcript from medical school, as well as the individual's identity. I know that sometimes there's confusion in the United States when we talk about international medical graduates. For the purposes of our certification, an international graduate is any physician who has received their basic medical degree from a medical school located outside of the United States and Canada, regardless of their citizenship. So what that basically means is an individual who's graduated from a school that does not have LCME accreditation, which is the accreditation body in the United States. And this is regardless of citizenship. So a US citizen or a foreign national who has received a medical degree outside of an LCME school is considered international medical graduate. Foreign nationals who come to the United States for training must have an approved visa. So all foreign national physicians, after they successfully match into a training program, need a visa. We at ecfmg sponsor the J1 visa, which is an exchange visitor physician visa. The State Department has authorized only ecfmg to be the agency that can authorize this visa. And it's an exchange visa, which means that the individual requires a statement of need from their home country. And following their training, and they're allowed up to 7 years of training, which could carry individuals through a residency program and fellowship in particular, then they are required to exit the United States for at least 3 years and return to their home country. Some of the hospitals and training programs, medical schools in the United States, will offer an H-1B visa to the incoming resident. And that is termed as a specialty occupation worker. We are not involved with that. We at ecfmg oversee over 13,000 individuals on J1 visas, and the vast majority of the individuals who come to the United States for training come on the visitor exchange or the J1 visa. This J1 program is really important to talk about because it's truly a cultural exchange program. It is termed a public diplomacy initiative that's aimed at educational and cultural exchange. The program is now called Bridge USA, and we are, again, the designated agency to sponsor individuals. This is unique within the J1 program, and because of that, we have a very special relationship with the Department of State. The next 2 slides will be diagrams that indicate how the certification process ensues. It's a very laborious process for the applicants because of the primary source verification, as well as their need to pass the USMLE examination and to navigate through our pathways if they've not already had CS passing status. Because of this, on an average, it could take an individual 3 years to navigate through this. When it's finished, if they then choose to compete for a residency position, they enter the ERAS, ERAS registration for the match program. And then after they match, we are able to offer them a J1 visa. So we receive about 20,000 inquiries a year, which turn into usually about 16,000 applicants who start this journey through certification. And on an average, there's about an additional 10,000 individuals annually who successfully become certified. And there's on an average of 12,000 individuals in the match, although that number is starting to increase. And there can be about 7,000 a year who successfully match. International medical graduates, both US citizens and foreign nationals, do make up a significant portion of the workforce in the United States, again, bringing diversity to the communities where they serve. And that's approximately 25% of the workforce. It's interesting to look at trends over time in terms of the number of ecfmg certificates that are issued annually. For a number of years, the numbers have been fairly constant. You can imagine in 2020, with the pandemic, the numbers reduced somewhat. But as you can see, in 2021, the numbers really have now exceeded the prior 10 years, at being over 11,000 individuals have become certified. There are probably many reasons for that, some of which have to do with the clinical skills exam going away. And so individuals did not have to travel to the United States to finish their certification, and could have many things to do with the pandemic itself. So the top 5 countries currently of citizenship with ecfmg certificates are demonstrated on this slide. As you can see from the color coding, United States international medical graduates make up a very large percent of certificates issued in each year, but so do Nigeria, Pakistan, Canada, and India. You know, a question that some of your medical students or trainees or individuals who wish to come to the United States for furthering their graduate education might ask, what are the chances of being able to match into a U.S. training program? You can see that the percentage of successful applicants had continued to climb through 2020. And there was a bit of a drop off in terms of the success rate in 2021. However, that is mostly due to the fact that there were so many more individuals who were applying. So the actual number, the absolute number of international graduates who matched increased, continued to increase, and increased in 2021. So the percentage decrease is more on the basis of the number of applicants, not the success rate. As I mentioned, that we have over 13,000 individuals whom we sponsor with J1 visas. This slide indicates the countries of origin of many of the physicians. Canada and India have consistently, in the last few years, been the largest country of origin. And you can see that many other countries listed as well. So in terms of PAFM memberships, I would say Canada, and you can see Colombia as well. There are actually J1 physicians in every state in the United States except for Alaska. The East Coast is very well represented in terms of New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Connecticut. But there are other states, including through the Midwest, with Michigan, Illinois, Ohio as well. Texas and Florida are also popular states. And I think it's important to recognize this again as we talk about the diversity that these individuals bring to the training programs, because the training sites in these states are generally have a population that is fairly diverse. Internal medicine still leads the way of being the specialty most likely pursued by international medical graduates. Pediatrics and family medicine are also strong. And I will mention that international medical graduates, while have face significant competition for surgical specialties, they do have success rate in surgical specialties as well. I and others feel that international medical graduates make major contributions to United States healthcare. They help ensure an adequate physician workforce while they are in training, providing the supervised care, which is very important. Many of the training programs, really a large majority of them, where they are matriculating are in underserved areas, both urban and rural areas. And those who may come back or have a way to stay will continue to work in these underserved areas. And frankly, you are more likely to find an international medical graduate in these underserved areas than you are a U.S. medical school graduate. I continue to emphasize the diversity they bring. I think that is very important. They add diversity by language, the cultural background that they bring. They enrich the clinical learning and practice environments because they bring with them an international perspective. Many of the international medical graduates have already gone through a training program in their home country and or been in practice. In all of the training programs in the US where they participate, appreciate what they bring in that international perspective. And maybe even most important for the patients that receive the supervised care, it is an opportunity for the patients to have individuals who are similar to them and similar to their backgrounds and identity to provide their care. And it really enhances the connection between patient and doctor because of that identification. I think there are many studies that have shown that healthcare is much more successful in an environment where patients can identify with their caregivers. It's not easy for international medical graduates who come to the United States on many aspects. There are many challenges that they have to navigate, including just sort of day-to-day type activities, so like establishing a bank account, having a mobile phone registered, finding a place to live. ecfmg works with the training programs to provide resources to help them be able to make that transition. It's also a challenge because while they're eager to come here, they may have various inherent biases. And as we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, we all need to be aware of the biases that we've all developed over years. And so individuals coming to the United States, from really anywhere, have an impression of the country, have an impression of the city, of the culture, have an impression of how they may fit in into the community. And I can tell you that talking with leaders in training programs as well as international graduates themselves, they may not recognize when they arrive what their inherent biases are, and that can affect them as they begin their training program and deal with patients as well as their colleagues. And they may be greeted by what they would term some very strange social norms that could be different from their countries. Individuals coming from Muslim majority countries, both the males and the females encounter this. I think it's probably true for many other countries. And one of the reasons it's important to recognize these challenges is because there is quite a bit of research data that describes that the first impression an individual makes in their training program will last quite a while. And if somebody does not have a smooth transition, it does not start off well, it could mean that they're going to have a very difficult time in their training program compared to somebody who does not have that issue. And it's something that we recognize. Training programs are beginning to recognize that, and we work with them to better understand that as well. We're proud of the work that our physicians who come to the United States for training and are in our J1 sponsored program. In 2018, we did our first survey among J1 alumni that we call alumni physicians to understand where they are, what they're doing, and how they're contributing. Many of the alumni return to their countries, some not right away. Some will continue to stay in the United States through other visa programs and will practice and serve in communities and then go back home and contribute or simultaneously with being in the United States will also be running various types of healthcare or medical education back in their home country. But as we look at it, we can see 69% who are back in their countries are caring for patients. May have 14% additionally have teaching or primarily teaching or medical school administrative responsibility, while others, a large percentage, 18%, are involved in research. So from our perspective, we feel that this cultural exchange aspect of the J1 visa program that the State Department has offered really does have a multiplier effect back in the home country. Something that we've started very recently to be able to have an understanding of the impact that the international medical graduate experience has on them as a physician, as an individual. We feel it's very important that be shared with other J1 physicians, with others who might be interested in being in this program, as well as others that might be considering having an international graduate in their training program. So on our website, we've recently started two blogs, I guess. One is called Journeys in Medicine, And this is a forum where foreign nationals, which is our J1 physicians, and their training programs that host them, tell their stories in their own words. This has been very impactful in terms of hearing what they're doing and how it has impacted their life. Additionally, we have a storyteller series that highlights individuals that we serve, that Intel serves, and the important role they play in improving healthcare and medical education in the US and around the world. And you can see two examples on this slide. And I really would invite individuals who want to learn more about the program and how this diversification of the programs has really benefited the participants as well as the programs themselves. Anyway, I invite you to go to these websites. That's going to bring me to the end of my prepared remarks. I'm sure we have time for some questions and hope that we can do that. And if I can find out a way to stop sharing my screen, I will.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor, for your incredible presentation. No sé si la audiencia tendrá alguna consulta para el profesor en relación a la temática.
Sí. Dr. William, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and I'm Victor Lara from Mexico. And I would like to ask you about the international accreditation of the schools that they want to get the possibility to get a program of ecfmg. So what is the status now?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time for me?
I would like to know what happened about the international accreditation of the schools that they want to get access to the program for FMNG.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you remember that the ecfmg told that it's important that the students want to go to the access to the program for ecfmg must to come from international accreditation schools of Latin America?
Right, got it. Yeah, so that's our recognition program. And I apologize, I'm trying to get rid of my screen here. But that's our recognition program for recognizing accreditation agencies. And we, in 2010, ecfmg passed a policy that would require all individuals who wish to apply for ecfmg certification by the year 2023 to graduate from an accredited medical school where the accrediting agency was recognized by an accepted international authority. And initially, that has been the World Federation of Medical Education, is that agency. Because of the pandemic and other things, we have pushed the date to 2024. Prior to the pandemic, quite a bit of progress had been made. In this past calendar year, at the end of 21, WFME restarted the site visits for the recognition process, and will and are continuing. And that by last count, there are almost 30 countries, I think, in queue to be have their agencies recognized. So it's proceeding with quite a bit of enthusiasm. And we will be announcing probably sometime later this year how we will proceed in 2024 with applicants for ecfmg certification. We are strongly encouraging countries whose agencies have not yet been recognized to get into the process and to continue. And I think that will be successful.
Thank you so much, Professor. ¿Tienen alguna otra consulta? Los miembros del chat también pueden generar sus preguntas en la casilla de chat. ¿No?
No? I have another question, Dr. William.
Yes, sir.
I think you speak something about familiar medicine in the United States as one of the programs. And the question is, what is the program, and is it primary attention, or what is the program of the family medicine?
Sure. Thank you. Family medicine is a primary care specialty, and it grew out of what had been an educational process for what we call general practice in the United States, where an individual, could care for, individuals, from babies on up through adults, including maternity services. And many years ago, it was felt that there should be specific training for this. And because it was described to be with family care, that it's now called a family practice residency. And it's initially a 3-year residency program. Some of the programs, many of the programs also include OB training, so individuals can be certified to provide obstetrical care as well. Although I would probably say that most individuals that come out really just do primary care for children and adults, and except in some rural areas, are not performing very much surgery or obstetrical care. I know that one of the things I've learned in recent years working with the World Health Organization is how different specialties and different ways to practice vary among countries. And I can imagine family practice can vary among countries as well. But that's what the training program is in the United States.